If you make art, you are an artist. Full stop. We don't need to argue about that, and you can also stop feeling like an imposter. You're an artist, you make art. However, in the category of artists, there are different types of art and different ways to focus. Two types I want to discuss here are pleasure artists and professional artists. A pleasure artist makes whatever they want, whenever they want, for their own pleasure. I know, it sounds a tiny bit naughty, but that's not how I mean it. Get your head out of the gutter. The professional artist makes art to communicate with other people. Pleasing themselves is no longer their only concern. A professional artist makes art hoping that somebody might want to actually look at it, be moved by it, and maybe buy it. I want to talk about the shift that happens from the casual hobby pleasure artist to the professional artist and what this means for artists of all types. Welcome to the Josie Show, where I bring you artist-to-artist chat about the business of being an artist. I want to celebrate your journey of pleasurable art exploration, and I also want to empower the professional artist with tools and knowledge because I think artists should get paid. Everyone starts as a pleasure artist or an amateur. The word amateur kind of has a negative connotation of being less highly skilled, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. The casual artist can in fact be highly skilled, but for underlying reasons, their art practice is self-serving. We do it because it's in our souls and we love it. Some people never feel the need to level up to become a professional artist, and that is just fine. I cheer you on. But some folks do desire to share their art with other people. They want to communicate something, stir an emotion, or unpack a concept that other people will want to engage with. And that transition creates different challenges and requires a thoughtful strategy and approach. Because I am a nerd, I looked up the etymology of the words professional and amateur. An etymology is simply a word history examining the origins and usage of a word over time, and I'm endlessly fascinated by it. The word amateur is from the French amore, which of course is to love. So an amateur is just somebody that loves something. They're doing it just for the fun of it. We can view an amateur as sort of pejorative, like someone who's not as good, but I don't think that's quite fair, especially given the origin of the term. An amateur, by this definition, is doing art because they love it. And that is the pleasure artist that I mentioned earlier. The etymology of the word professional is also fascinating. Remember, I'm a nerd. The root of that word is the Latin profitare, and it means to profess. The original usage was to declare religious vows. So it was publicly proclaiming your intent to become a nun or what have you. And then over time, it grew also to include the disciplines of medicine and law and a couple of other learned occupations. Being a professional began to mean that someone had studied a certain discipline, became competent in it, and then declared that they could provide certain services for money. They declared themselves open for business. So, for all artists, we start off making art for love. Every artist starts off as an amateur because of love. It's because we have a calling, because we have a passion. And some of those lovers choose to become professionals in that they want to communicate with an audience and potentially sell their work. I don't think you necessarily have to make money or sales from your art to be professionally minded, but I do think you have to think about your audience and consider your artistic ventures in the context of relationship with your viewers. Which are you? Are you a pleasure artist and a hobbyist and happy to stay that way? Or are you a professional who wants to connect with your people or somewhere in between? I cannot wait to read your reflections. As always, thanks for hanging with me, and I appreciate you spending this time with me.